Tracking and measuring, checking numbers. Do we really need to do all that stuff? We're going to talk about that today. Hello everyone, Semi-Retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today is Saturday, weekly wins. It's currently 55 degrees in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm actually recording this on Wednesday, but you guys will see this on Saturday. Quickly, before we get started here, I do have to say happy anniversary to both of my sisters. Funny little story on that. My eldest sister was in the Air Force, and to make a long story short, she was had her wedding planned for pretty close to a year, because that's when both her and her husband could get leave and everybody could get in. And then 2 nights before her wedding, my other sister calls up Mom and says, well, we're not sure when everybody else is going to be able to get back in town, so we're going to go ahead and get married tomorrow. So needless to say, Mom had a bit of a weekend. And there was some logistics stuff. I drove a lot of people. They were all gathering in southeastern Ohio. Carted them all over to western Ohio for my other sister's wedding, and then back down to southeast Ohio. It was quite the mess. But it all worked out good. That was another one of those odd years. It was, you always worry about February weddings, because I remember it was another one of those wonderful days in mid-February where it was almost 75 degrees in southeastern Ohio for my sister's wedding, which worked out pretty well. But anyway, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. If you're wondering what the world's going on here, well, basically you're watching me walk. The interesting thing about that is that 21 months ago I couldn't do this. I could barely stand for a couple minutes without severe pain because I had spinal stenosis and many other health problems. Now I'm out here walking every day. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here as well. It does mean an awful lot to me that you choose to spend just a few moments of your day with me. I'd like to ask everybody to help me out, because I am about 150 subscribers away from 7,000. It seems amazing to me. It seems like just yesterday I got my first 50, and now we're closing in on 7,000. How are there that many people that want to listen to what an old retired truck driver has to say? But help me get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. Hit that thumbs up. Drop down in the comments and say, hi, Bob. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. If you can think of somebody that needs to hear the message that it's never too late to change your life, go ahead and share this video out with some people. I am 60 years old. I'm doing things that I couldn't do when I was 40. So again, just help me get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. I really appreciate all you do. And don't forget, it is Saturday. So drop down in the comments and share your weekly wins. But let's go ahead and get on into this thing now that I'm up that first hill and working my way around the block. Do we really need to track? Because as you guys know, I follow Coach Bronson. And he's very into making sure you know how many grams of protein you're getting and how many grams of fat you're getting. And I think when you're first getting started, you probably should not necessarily track to stop eating, but you sort of need to know where you're at. But do we have to track all the time, every day, forever? No, I don't think so. Because once you get a feel for how much you're getting out of your pound or a pound and a half or 2 pounds of ground beef, how much you're getting out of, a 2-pound roast or a 2-pound steak, how much you're getting out of each egg you eat. Once you know those things, you can pretty much judge on your plate what you're getting. And again, I've said this many times on the channel, and I'll say it again now. I've never tracked anything. I think for the final 5% of what you're doing, trying to get to, or if you are a person who is actually trying to build muscle so that it's noticeable, like, carnivore muscle, Jonathan. People like that probably have to track very closely what they're getting in their nutrition. I don't think, for the everyday Joe like you and me, I don't think it's as important. Because I don't think, as long as you're eating your meat with the associated fat that comes with it, I don't think it's possible to consistently, long-term, overeat on that stuff. You certainly can't gain weight. I mean, if you go back to the original beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge that Dr. Barry put out on his channel, and Joe over at Two Crazy Ketos took him up on that challenge, and he tried as hard as he could to eat so much on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs that he gained weight. It didn't work. Because he was bound, set, and determined to prove Dr. Barry was mistaken. And he couldn't do it. So I don't think we really need to worry about overeating long term, because it's very hard to overeat on fat. If we've got a ribeye steak, or in my case, the 80-20 ground beef, it's very, very hard to consistently overeat on fat. Well, Bob, what about ketones? Don't we want to know what the ketones are? Don't we want to track those? No, I've never tracked any of that stuff. What's it going to tell you that you don't already know? If you're not eating carbs, those 2 to 5 hours if you're on one meal a day, those 2 to 5 hours, depending on how big an eater you are, after you eat, you're not going to be in ketosis. And that's a good thing. But for the rest of the time, you probably will be. Do you really need to know exactly what your ketone numbers are? I don't think so. What does it matter is, are you going to try and adjust your diet to go chasing the numbers that you think are good for you? I think that's probably a mistake. I think if you eat until, as Dr. Barry says, eat until you're comfortably stuffed, and then go outside and play, I don't think you need to worry about it. Oh, you can tell it's nice out today because everybody's dogs are out. But yeah, that's tracking what food you're eating. Like I said, just knowing where you're at. So if you get to the point at some time where you want to specifically try and shed a little more fat to get jacked or make your muscles more noticeable, or that kind of stuff, then I think tracking might be helpful. But for the most part, for the average person like me, I just eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm stuffed. Rinse and repeat. Like I said, I've never really tracked anything. I know about how many grams of protein and fat are in a pound of ground beef. And I know about how many grams of fat and protein are in an egg. And I know that Professor K teaches somewhere about 1.75 grams of protein per pound of, or per kilogram of lean body mass. And if you do the math on that, you'll find out that I'm a little on the high side, but not terribly on the high side. And I don't have any problems. I cannot get over how nice it is. This is the last day of the nice for a few days. It's supposed to get up to 57 or 58 degrees today. But then it's supposed to get down to 28 degrees tonight and only a high of 32 or so for the next couple of days. It's supposed to be right at the freezing mark. There's a possibility of some snow returning tomorrow night. And of course, if we get some snow, I'll throw the spikes on and record a walkout in that for you too. But yeah, tracking your food, chasing ketones, knowing when you're in ketosis, when you're not in ketosis, is that really that useful? I don't think it is. Now, if you're one of these people that loves the numbers and you want to go out and buy a ketone meter, by all means, go ahead and do that. If you've got one of them big fancy apps that tracks all your food and checking the numbers is, what makes your heart sing, then by all means, go ahead and do that. There's nothing wrong with tracking, but I think especially for people who are just thinking about getting started, if they're listening to somebody that says, oh, well, you got to track this and you got to track that and you got to check this and check the other thing, some of those people might just say, that's just too much bother. I can't deal with that. So as it always comes down to, on this channel anyway, what I talk about is eat the meat with its associated fat, add the salt, and drink the water. That will get you 90 to 95% of where you want to go. And you might need to tweak a few things to get that last little bit, but I'm still searching for that last little bit. I have been for almost a year now. I haven't found the right combination, but to be honest, I haven't really been trying that hard to find the right combination, because I feel exponentially better today than I did 21 months ago. Will that last little bit make me feel that much better? It might. I don't know. Only time will tell. I think I will eventually get there. I had thought it would happen a little quicker, but my clothes fit better. I know I'm putting on muscle. I still feel as good as I did. In fact, I feel a lot better today than I did a year ago. So I know my health is improving. You know, because I did do this big block several times back before I went to North Carolina that last time. But it took me a lot longer to get around the big block, and I had to stop and rest several times. Now I just come out here and I walk it. So could I be better if I tracked and did all the little things? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm certainly not going to lose any sleep over it. Well, I think I've probably talked enough. Let's go ahead and flip the camera around. I'll have a few more thoughts when we get back up to the house. But for now, let's go ahead and cue the music. Okay, cut the music. Thank you. Well, here I am crossing the street back to the house, hoping not to get hit by cars, because for some reason I stood there at the corner waiting for several cars to pass, and then there was another one coming up the street. But anyway, here we are back at the house. As you saw, I went around the big block and then up and around the top big block. I don't know exactly what that works out to. I've never actually walked that particular route. I suspect it's slightly over 2 miles, but I'll go ahead and put that total in here about now. But it is time for weekly wins. I had a pretty good one this week. For those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you know that I play games. One Sunday a month, some friends of mine and I all get together and we play a Dungeons and Dragons style game around the tabletop. And, you know, for decades now, that's been everybody brings something to share and we have a nice big meal before we start playing. And this one was over at Adam's house, and Adam is an exceptional cook. But I knew that Adam was an exceptional cook. So before I left, I had almost 2 full pounds of ground beef because I wanted to be well and truly stuffed. And as I suspected, I walked into his house and the smells coming from his kitchen were fantastic. But I didn't eat any of it because I'd already eaten. And even about 4.5, 5 hours later, when they brought out the dessert, which I had a brief moment of temptation because it was a raspberry cream cheesecake that he'd made. But I didn't have any of that either. I went the whole day with my friends and had nothing but water. That's my weekly win. What's your weekly win? Don't forget, folks, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.